Yeah. So, hi, Baltic. What's up? So we do have the special events that happen in the city, and it's not just the characters. Like, like you guys know that it's Spencer as the character that plans it, but I have people come in and RP and want to help out. So if there's something you want to do in the city, you can always. I've seen people throw parties, of course, but you can also come to certain characters and plan things out. And just make events like that. There's the whole exploring the city that I know, like I have my character that does that. Always plan like little groups here and there. It's the whole answer of you could just RP a situation and go with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're RPing a lot of stuff. There's some answers to this in development, which we'll get to in a minute. And we also got another question that looks like we've tagged with Crappy Gamer. Can we have a wider range of jobs or being more flexible with a certain job?
So yeah, everybody. Hi, I'm Crappy Gamer. Not many of you have got to hear me, but yeah, that's me. Um, so yeah, currently we are in the stages right now of planning new jobs. Chips has done a good job putting together a list of. I think right now the total is up at about seven different types of jobs with different missions and all this other stuff attached to it. We have plans, well, at least hoping that in the future we're able to do more with the jobs and make them more I guess server wide and have more meaning other than just you tag this job and you do a mission and you're done with it. And what kind of I'll go over that a little bit later with another question that comes up, but there's definitely we're moving forward with planning for newer jobs, and offering other things as far as I guess your professional capacity in the server.
Yeah, there's a long list of stuff that has been planned out and implemented as far as jobs. Maybe a rehash of some locations for other jobs might be in order, but we'll get to that. There's another one. Does repair person? Oh, there it is, right there. More different spots for different jobs. So get a refresh of repair locations is basically what the question is asking.
Yeah, so this just kind of goes back on the reevaluating of the jobs that we have. While we do have the seven or so, or maybe more, depending on how we plan it out, new jobs coming, we're also looking at all the current jobs and seeing how we can improve those. And if that means just making more missions available for the time being, so they're not just so repetitive all the time, those are things that we're also planning going forward. So there's definitely the ability to have different variation, even in just the same jobs that you're currently doing.
I would like to interject that these jobs are there to help you make some some quick cash or do something while you're waiting for your other partners who you might have had a plan and role play. Like you're gonna go put together a car show or something, and you're just waiting for them to get on. That these jobs would allow you to go make a little bit of cash while you wait for someone to get in. Uh, they're not meant to be your job and this is all you do. We're not playing WoW and this is your profession and you have to craft everything. Although crafting is coming, but it's something to do when you don't have a moment for that bit of RP. But it's also a way to find and meet people because they're also doing the job in those slow moments where you might not have made a friend yet on the server as a character, right? So don't solely focus on I only do this job and I only repair and that's all you do. If you're a repair person, grab a tow truck, claim a shop, claim a Los Santos, work it. Be like, hey, you guys want some custom upgrades? I got you. Come in. I'll show you what's up. Boom. Now you have a role play scenario. You have a job. I mean, if you need to, you could go repair a couple things, have a couple grand in your pocket so you could do some things while you're walking around. but you just open up shop. You're a tow truck operator. If someone breaks down, you could take your tow truck out there, bring them back to the shop, be like, "Oh, it looks like your headlight fluid and your blinker fluid is out. Let me get that fixed up." Right? Like there's all kinds of opportunities to do this as opposed to just repair, right? So dive into a little bit more role play and a little bit less of the uh, monotony of, well, all I do is go and turn a satellite dish or fix a crane, right?
Wear proper equipment for that crane fixing, by the way. You don't want to fall.
Yeah, please don't fall off a crane.
Yeah.
Can pilots get radio communications with ATC, Air Traffic Control Tower, to speak directly and report flight requests and landing? My personal comments is I hope so. However, that would mean someone has to always listen to that radio. I don't know of the functionality behind it, but Zeba might know a little bit more about the TeamSpeak functionality.
Well, it comes down to our lovely VoIP system right now, and I'm waiting for them to have a stable update which fixes the issue with if you're police or EMS, you're aware of the issue of people can't hear other people on the radio sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they fix that, we're going to have civilian radios, CB radios, radios you can change channels on, and we'll be able to have radio communication between aircraft. But right now, it's we're waiting for the background technical to work out their bugs first.
Right. The issue seems to be as a new player comes on for shift, when they turn their radio on, the people that are already on can hear them, but the new player can't hear the people that were previously on. So what we do is we all restart our radios. It could get frustrating when you're in the middle of driving after a pursuit, or you're running to a call as EMS, or you're in the middle of trying to talk to somebody and you don't hear the call to, hey, restart your radio, so and so just came on. And then you go on for like an hour and you're like, why am I only hearing one part of the conversation? So instead of bringing that to everybody, although we'd probably have to make a role, right? We'd probably have to make an in-game role for pilot for them to have access to that channel, right, Zeba?
Either a role or it can just possibly be a public radio. And we'll just do it like kind of on the honor system because we're all playing a role in this game as it is.
Right.
And just say, if you're flying a plane, be on this channel.
I mean, I'm fine with it. That's it listed under civilians and jobs.
I have one thing I can add to that.
Yeah, jump in.
For the whole pilot, like being able to request takeoff and whatnot. We've had someone that someone that plays Anatoly, where they were flying and they go on their little radio and they RP that they're asking for permission, and I can't remember specifically, but if they RP the person answering back as well, and then I have with Stick the inbound guy, right? Like if I call for inbound, it'd be cool, like, oh hey, and then they'll come in and get it, but we RP that they just come instantly. I just RP that I'm talking to someone trying to get my vehicle gone, and just you just work it like that. So until we have something that like people can actually sit in a radio tower listening, or answer back to you, you could always just RP it that way if you would like. You don't have to do the voice for the person on the other end, but you could just be like, hi, I need this done, and just be that one-sided conversation since the people around you can't hear. That is all I got for that.
I mean, I think it's a valid point. Just so you guys know, applications to get on the server are coming a lot sooner than you think. Could you pass it? I'll let you guys do. I'll let you guys go through that test. And if you don't pass, we'll just perma your character.
No, no, no. Oh,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
then
I'm
I'm gonna have to
kidding.
put
I'm
your body
kidding.
suit
I'm
in the morgue.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I know,
But
love
the
you.
question is, would you? Well, I mean, it won't be a very bad app. It'll be basically, can you find where the rules are listed, and can you tell me what the rule is when I ask for certain stuff? Because rules change, and as we go through this process, like, we're still in development, right? This is development. So every time we find something and it might need a rule addressed, a rule gets crafted, altered, changed, updated, whatever you want to call it. People are told it's very important to read through the server notifications. We're not going to ping everybody because I feel bad that I'm pinging a lot of people. And it's disruptive to you guys to get pinged 5-6 times a day. So we want to try to limit that. So I'm not going to limit I'm not going to ping you for a lot of, hey, the server's down at the moment, unless it's prime time, like, oh wait, we had a problem. Speaking of civilians and jobs, let's jump into police. Hot fingers.
Okay.
As you know, the police department affects a large portion of the community because the police have a very peculiar role in the community. They enforce laws of the city, right? Not server rules, right? The police can break a server rule just as easily as someone else can break a server rule. They themselves have a lot of rules, and then those rules are how they conduct themselves when they interact with certain people. There's a lot of nuance with this, and as I discussed on the podcast yesterday, it is a very difficult job to balance police versus criminal versus civilian, right? That is 3 massive areas that we all roleplay in that has to strike a balance. And the police touch all of these areas, and it's very difficult. So there's a couple things I want to touch on. I'm not going to give away internal secrets as how many of this or how many of that. But as you know, there was a rule that was just changed. Hot figures, do you remember the rule about hostage taking and robberies?
Yes.
Do you want to go ahead and toss that one out there?
Yeah, it's more just a kind of a limit on the amount of criminals you can really force into something. So it's really a 4 max. So you have 5 criminals during a robbery. It just gets a little bit overbearing, especially when you have 2 or 3 police. It's got to be a little bit more. It makes a nice balance, but 5 crims not okay. But if you have 3 criminals, that
Uh-oh. Did he just zap out?
me?
Nope, there you go. Go, say that again.
Oh, sorry. It's just a 5 crim or a 4 crim limit, basically. So 5 criminals, too much for really. It gets crazy. It's too hectic from the criminal point of view and from the PD point of view. That's about it. You can mess around with it with your hostage. In the meantime, you can have 4 criminals and 1 fake hostage, as long as they're in 1 real hostage. As long as it's a real person and they're not involved in your planning, it's cool. But if they are fake and involved with your planning, they count as a criminal. So they count toward the 4 max.
I would say a follow-up, I would say that this would be for one particular event. So say you have a gang and there's like 10 people in your gang and you go to do a heist. Now, mind you, right now, bank robberies are you stand there and you wait for your money and cops are going to show up and something's going to happen, right? Who knows what's going to happen, but you only have 4 people on it, or maybe you've taken a hostage. Whatever is within those rules. The biggest issue is right now, unless it's been changed, it's 3 officers online to get bank robberies enabled.
It's 4 now.
It's 4. Okay, I had asked for it to become 4
Yeah.
because 4 lets the police have 1 officer in each zone, because we have 4 zones as police, right? There's 2 down to the south, and there's 1 in the middle and 1 at the top. And that would allow an officer who is in zone 2 swing over to zone 1 should there be an alarm to back that officer up, or 4 swings down to 3, or 3 swings up to 4, or 1 swings into 3. All kinds of there's some internal workings. It functions very much like a police department, where we have an assigned zone. You kind of hang out here. So the biggest issue we had before was there would be 3 officers on, and 2 would respond, and there would be a store robbery, and then another store robbery, and some illegal shots, and where do you go? And then when they're severely overpowered, we had an issue with, what was it, 7 the other day, 7 against 2.
Crappy, you gotta push the talk, baby.
Or we do this.
Yeah, fuck you, Crappy.
Boom. Jeez, hot fingers with no sense of
Oh,
forgiveness.
not supposed to cuss. Sorry.
It was 5-3. Rip Crappy. No, it was 5-3 or something like that. The biggest challenge is we shouldn't play to win. Right? We have to get that out of our heads. Don't play to win. We're not playing a game. We're trying to tell stories, right? Like, that's what we're here. We're not here to play Overwatch. Overwatch is, another download you could get. We're not here to play GTA Online and try to win something. That's another game, right? Well, I would enjoy a great shootout, but you have to do it right. Some other parts of this, use of force in a hostage situation, pitting and city limits. There's actually rules for pitting, which are clearly on the Wikipedia, and the officers have to go with these rules. There's also a couple of other rules for use of force that have just been added and changed. There's also a comment for use of pistols to take out tires in city limits. In theory, we shouldn't have tasers doing that, but they could put spike strips down. The biggest thing is that what we do is we don't allow roleplay to happen. We stick a motorcycle inside of a bank, rob the bank, and zoom out of a motorcycle, and then what do you expect the cops to do if there's a bike that's already in there? I really don't want them to block the door, because they should have a way out. They should have something to. They should be given a choice. You have choice A or choice B. Choice A has spike strips and 2 cops waiting. Choice B has 1 cop waiting down the street without any spike strips. Pick one, right? You should have a choice, but it shouldn't be set up to where you just lose for either choice. Because you could clearly, as I've seen it, drive a bike without tires just fine. And it's kind of funny, but then you fall over and then you kind of get into a coma. So then that itself kind of killed the role play. I want role play to last. I would love a nice chase, but there's some technical things that you might not consider as you're speeding down a highway at 120 plus. Is that the way the game actually works is you yourself spawn vehicles around you. So if there are 3 people going up the highway, that's 3 people spawning vehicles in their vicinity. That's why we get the floating cars. That's why we get weird glitches where we go desynced. There's an example of being desynced that's in the highlights section where I'm flying a plane, and on Yumbledore's screen I crash into a building. Meanwhile, I'm flying just fine. So that happens, and that's going to happen. And the only way we could get around this is to kind of slow it down so everybody can stay in sync. It's just the nature of the beast. It's other than slowing it down and letting your computers kind of catch up, I don't know what else to do. I don't know if there's a technical thing that we can do on the dev side. Crappy or Zeba, if you want to chime in on this, but I really just think it's just a matter of we got to let the computers do what they're supposed to do.
Well, my response to that is, if you're doing too much for your computer to handle, then you're gonna have those problems.
Right. I don't know if there's anything you could physically do.
Yeah, as far as
Well,
ruling on
Physically, do you just have to have a better computer? Because, like I've said, I don't have those issues. I don't have the desync issues. I don't fall through the world. I can do 250 miles an hour down the highway and have no problems.
likewise.
But I'm also not streaming on this computer. I have a dedicated machine for that. Um, and yeah, I mean, but I have an overpowered computer, so I mean that's all there is that I can do.
And as far as like ruling is concerned, when it comes to PD, I like to use the analogy like the server rules are like your bumpers on your on your bowling alley. They're just to make sure you don't go into the gutter. Like I might wake up a couple times in the thing a week, but as far as rules, they're just there to really not break everything. There's a nuance and a bit of an unspoken stream etiquette to have when you're dealing with these situations that lets it be open-ended, and that so not every robbery is exactly the same every time. And if somebody wants to come in and say, well, you can do 3 spike strips and blah blah, sometimes those situations have to change. If not, what the hell's the point? You have to be able to build a story. You can't script every single thing. So sometimes it's not going to work out for somebody, and somebody's going to get pissed, and they're going to get mad, or they'll complain about a rule. Sometimes you just got to get the hell over it. You're not going to win everything, and if you're not even trying to win and you still lose, well, sorry, that happens sometimes. Unless it's egregious, the person probably isn't going out after you. They're not trying to ruin your night. Sometimes shit happens, and it's a big learning process for a lot of it. PD, for most people on the server especially.
Oh, it's a
And that's
learning
where we are.
process for a lot of us, yeah.
Yeah, and also we're in beta, so these rules are subject to change constantly. I don't even like saying beta. We're in development. We don't even have everything that we want
We're ironing stuff out.
Exactly. We got to figure it out with you guys. Sometimes we're the wrinkle. Sometimes you are. Sometimes it's my ass. Next question.
Yeah, officers have been told not to spike everywhere, right? Like we have to have some restraint, and I want officers to say if there's 3 exits in a parking lot on the bank. So okay, so for example, Blaine County has 2 actual exits, and one like fake exit that just doesn't have brick wall in front of it, but it doesn't actually have a curb cut. So why don't officers spike 2 of those and leave one open? It might not be the most convenient exit to go, but in this regard, they've given the person who's in the bank, who's probably going to try to flee, at least 3 different options, 2 of which are probably very bad options. One of which is probably a very good option. It might not be obvious at the start, but maybe there's an officer lying in wait down the street. Why do we resort to putting spike strips in front of a door? because we still have a game mentality where we want to win, right? And that's a natural reaction that we have to suppress, right? Everybody, if we're new to RP and we're used to playing games, and we've all probably played a video game 5 times before in our life or more, and you get frustrated if you lose and you get happy when you win. And it's human nature to look for things that are going to make you happy, right? It's just human nature. And as much as we want to play to win, we have to suppress this feeling and this desire that we have to win. Because winning in this term is having excellent roleplay, telling a story, just winning by having fun, telling a story, being an extra in someone's story. Maybe there's this new crime boss that's come to town. They've got this big crew. It's them against the police. You know, be the officer that learns how they do things to catch them later, right? There's nuance to this, and we'll get there eventually. But we have to stop this desire to win, 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 and win, and that's both sides, right? Like, I'm okay given a foot chase, and the fact that I talk on the radio, or the fact that I talk at all, slows my character down. The criminal would have the advantage if they're not talking to a buddy, right? This is a thing. It's just nuance, right? This is the nuance of the you know, I'm going to rob a bank and the cops are going to show up. How do we do this? Well, we'll find a way some way.
Are we going to be on 17 or 18 after this?
I'm still on 16. It's a big
Okay.
loaded thing, right? Like stun guns should not be allowed to take out tires. I mean, would you rather them shoot pistols in the city limit or use stun guns to take out a tire if someone is just flying down the street and not, you know, listening or obeying? Excessive use of force when busy. What can we do from a criminal standpoint to help PD when they are busy? You never know when they're going to be busy. You're a civilian, right? You don't know how many alarms have gone off. If they roll up and seem a little stressed and you were planning to do something, maybe give it an hour. I don't know how you could know that police are very busy. Anybody have thoughts on that?
You won't know, but you can use some intuition. Like, you go rob a store and no one shows up. Well, maybe I'll give it like 30 minutes before I try something else. You can't expect 3 or 4 cops to show up to everything that's possibly going on at all times. This isn't the real world where there are multiple departments and hundreds of officers that are potentially on duty. In a small town like in the middle of nowhere, Midwest Kansas, there might only be 4 cops on, and they can't show up within 5 minutes like in a big city. You kind of gotta play within our boundaries at this point.
Right, as Chet pointed out, in IRL there are actually a lot less store and bank robberies, but we also don't have some of the other activities in the game yet, and it's gonna happen. Yesterday, I believe we only had maybe a max of 6 officers online. At one point in time, I couldn't get online after the podcast, so I just took the night off.
I want to interject real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
We had there's a question that was asked like a bit ago. Sorry. It was asked by Gabby Bird, and then T Grum ended up posting it a while back. It was about the whole hostage and criminal thing. How our example is we have 4 criminals and only 1 hostage. I think they're asking, can you have multiple hostages instead of just the one?
If they're real
And
hostages, I don't have a problem with that.
I'd say if you want to have like 10 hostages in a bank, go for it. If you want to
Go
try to
for it.
handle
Well,
that, like
10
do
a
it.
little excessive. Don't be a
Oh,
dickhead. But if you got like two or something like that, and they're
go for
legit
20.
hostages, if you
Well,
go for
no, I
20,
would
I'm gonna
say
yell at you.
I would say that would probably turn out to be a pretty epic server event thing.
It would be interesting. It
What I
I
would
mean,
what I
definitely.
would love to have is I would love to have the cops have time to actually set up a response outside.
Well, also, if you can wrangle 3 or 4 hostages and get them all cooperating, and they're really not in on it with you, good luck. Because if I'm one of those guys, I'm waiting until you turn around, and I'm gonna fucking run.
how
Well,
many
just be
people?
prepared, right? Like just
Yeah.
if somebody is not watching, that's your out.
Well, yeah,
So
it's one of those people will then bring up, well, how do you value your life? If you're a hostage,
I
you
could
have to
tell you
assume
that.
there's a gun
Do you
on
want the
you?
answer to that?
Maybe.
It's very easy.
Yeah, go for it.
It's very easy. Someone points a gun at you and they order you to get down on the ground. Get down on the ground. And then look for a way out of this scenario. They've already made their demand. They already told you where they stand. They're not quite valuing your life at the moment. They're ordering you down on the ground. But if they turn around, then maybe there's a space
Well, yeah.
to counteract them.
It's also not to say that in every single situation, excluding bank robberies, like you're robbing somebody one on one and you both have to get in the car. Obviously, the player that is doing the robbing has to take his gun off the back of the person's head for a second to use the mechanic of getting in the back seat. At that point, you don't want to take advantage as the hostage and go, okay, I'm going to run away because he's locked in an animation. Don't be a butthole. Understand that in real life, he wouldn't take his gun off of you, even if it meant getting in the car.
Right. And just remember, we're not literally playing a game here. We're
Yeah.
actors. We're setting as, we're having we're in a giant play. Pretend like people are watching and there's, make it believable. Obviously someone's got to put their gun away to do stuff, you play as if the person's going to shoot you, you know. And one way to really harden the RP is to talk to the people who play the game in outside of the game. We're all friends here. We're not against each other. We're
Right.
all just playing a role. And the more you talk to the people you play with in the game, the more you understand that you won't get mad if they hold you up because they don't know who you are. Maybe you're wearing a mask or something, things like that. You'll be like, oh, that's just hot fingers. He's pointing, he wants to do a thing. That's cool. I'm down with it. Let's go. And then if you happen to get hurt or killed or whatever, you don't take it so personally because he doesn't hate you, and you're not playing a game, you're not getting high scores, you're just doing a thing.
Exactly. Are we finally on 17 now?
Yeah, this is a big nuance section, and I knew that this would take a lot of time. Use of force policies. That's there's some use of force that's been added to the police standard operating procedures. I don't know.
That one's kind of been looked at the last couple days, and it's still under getting tweaked a little bit. We have a pretty nice little thing laid out for force. Like, if I like to use the analogy, if you get pulled over and they get out of the car and you're an officer and they try to punch you, what are you going to do? You're going to tase them. You're going to throw them in cuffs. You're going to arrest them. If they get out of the car and pull a pistol on you, turn them into Swiss cheese as far as I'm concerned. Like, they're threatening your life. They're going to kill you. Unless there's some very specific RP. If you're pulling somebody over and they got a buddy behind you that you don't see and he says, put your hands up, don't be a hero. You're one guy. They got 2 people on you with a gun. Put your hands up. You can work it out later. That RP doesn't have to end right there. More nuance, obviously, but it's a play. Play with it.
There's a lot of nuance. One day, would I love to take quote unquote the proverbial training wheels off and allow possession of a pistol again. But we all have to learn how to use these tools, and these tools are how we tell stories. And then once we actually learn these tools, because yesterday we had 2 RDM incidents that were reported, a VDM incident, all within the matter of like 2 hours of happening, and this is why. So applications are coming to hopefully prevent this, which means people are going to have to wait longer to get on the server. But hey, if it makes the storytelling even better, like I would so love to have cinematic stories where we can highlight and showcase this, because this is your work. This is the work that you are leaving behind and for people to see.
Yeah, I'm seeing in chat. Is if something for like death penalty, that wouldn't be.
That's going to
That's
be a
not something they're
trial,
going to
right? That would
sentence
be,
all the. Yeah,
yeah.
it would be a long, drawn out thing. It would be special. We're not going to start shooting people in the back of the prison because they suddenly got it in their head that they want to do a serial killer once a week.
Yeah, there's some technical challenges I currently have with Discord and how it's doing some of its role assignment that I need to get with somebody that has been extremely busy. Very worst case scenario, everything is going to be by hand as far as applications are concerned, and you will have to pass the test.
And not only that, as far as RP and how it is currently on the server and the attitude around it, we're not like some other well-established servers yet. We still got to grow and get there. Like for half the day, we're not full or anything like that. So there's not always jury on. There's not always lawyers on. So right now, those big giant things, they kind of have to give them time to play out. It's going to take a couple days, so everybody's aware, they can get their ducks in order, and then actually make it happen. That's where we are now. In the future, it's probably still going to have some length to it, but it'll be length for story, not length because of limitations of who's playing what character or role. Okay, next question.
The next one is about supervisors within the police department. That's something that we're currently talking about. Give it time. Rushing only makes things worse. Chips and I have a lot of weight on our shoulders. If you're unfamiliar with all the stuff that Chips is doing, Chips has been working with EMS. Chips has been working on getting that kind of established again. Chips has also been working on all deliveries that you see around town. So the police cars, in conjunction with Bob Diddlebob. They're handling vehicles. If you go to the credits on the wiki, you see them listed as those handling those credits and features. It takes time. It takes time because we've got a whole slew of new officers and a whole slew of people that were playing before the new officers. I can't easily just promote someone who is new and gung-ho and well-versed in some things, which is awesome and amazing and great. The biggest challenge is the old people don't know the new people, and they need to kind of feel out how they play together. Right? So it's a challenge, and we'll get there. It'll happen. Just be patient. Back to force. When the force is stable enough from both an understanding and availability, will there be a cap of how many cops on at one time? The current cap I'd like to keep. The current cap I would like to keep is 8. And that's when we have a shift change. Because if we have 8 EMS and 8 cops, that's 16 on a 32 slot server.
I would love to have 8 EMS on at once. Right now we have maybe 3 at the most.
That would be right. That would be a lot. So ideally I kind of pinpointed 6 and 6, which would give us 12. But, if we have to go to 8, and the 8, when I say 8 for 8 cops, that's 2 cops doing EMS. Is really what it happens. But when we have 8 people on, it's usually during a shift change. Sometimes we've had 12, and that's great because that would be 6 cops and 6 cops, right? A group of 6 is going off while the group of 6 is coming on. And if we do have that many on, and some people are going to stay on for a couple hours, I would say go off duty, go explore life outside of the force. I would say jump on to another character. Maybe go learn how to be a good criminal, because it'll make you being a cop better, right? So, I would say 8 would be a hard limit. I would not like to have more than 8. Does that make sense? As far as like going exploring to be a criminal, you have to make another character. But, if we have 8, that's 2 officers per zone. So then they can back each other up. If there's a robbery in progress in Sandy Shores, 2 officers that are in that zone can roll to that without moving an officer from another location. That'd be awesome. Or what happens is if there's, say, 7 and one is a supervisor, that supervisor would roll to those major incidents.
What Crappy Gamer said, we actually, we are basically white hat. We actually, in uniform or in that character, we cannot go robbing banks. We cannot be doing that. We are neutral. So we can't be, as Elizabeth Hart, I can't actually go out and rob a bank. That would be against rules, and I would be breaking it.
Yeah, same with cops, right? You can't go off duty and go rob a bank. But also, as chat pointed out, criminal, it's not cops and robbers. Criminals can be a whole organization. We had the strip club mafia. It was organized crime. There was an organized heist of several banks that happened simultaneously. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure people have noticed pillbox lockdowns recently. That's all organized. There's the...
Well, no, the last one wasn't organized.
One of them was also a call that went out, and it freaked everybody out, and it wasn't intended to do that.
We love, honestly, I'll be honest with you, we love the unorganized stuff at Pillbox as well. At Pillbox, we don't get to go into your role plays because we're not there to. We're here to role play at Pillbox. So yeah, that lockdown was not expected. The shooting was not expected.
Yeah, exactly, and the fact that it was something that wasn't meant to lock down pillbox and it still did means that the RP is probably working and pretty good. Because if police are actually feeling like they're on edge, then they're involved in the story.
Yep.
Right. I felt involved.
It scared the shit out of me.
It always does.
It was pretty awesome, right? It was just like imagine if you had all the streams open at that time, right? If you had all the streams open at that time and you're watching from all these kind of vantage points, wouldn't it be cool if we could take those and kind of merge it together to have one solid story for the YouTube channel? to showcase the server's ability to do this. It was pretty awesome. I think it would be awesome. I don't know about you, but I think it would be awesome.
It also involves your character as well. Like my character right now is terrified of guns. If I hear a gun, I run. I actually went into a coma yesterday because of it. It actually involves your character into something even greater than what you thought it was.
Yeah, not only that, it's something I like when you don't, as a character or maybe even as a player, know the extent of whatever that RP is, but it affects the whole city or people talk about it and they find out. It makes it feel like things are moving in the background even without you, and it helps reinforce you being part of a world and there's stuff.
We've got one more police/rules question, then we jump into the we jump into the rules part.
Ooh, yay.
It is down on number 28. If you guys are looking at the sheet, can we stop players from going into quote unquote body cameras, aka streams, and rolling up on them? That would be stream sniping, which is clearly against the rules.
Yeah, I don't care what side you're on, whether it's police, civilian, EMS, anything like that. If you're using out of game information and letting it influence your in game information, I'm going to talk to you. And it's probably not going to go very well.
Hot Fingers, I'm going to let you take over starting at 20 with the rules. And I'll chime in here in a minute.
Okay, first one. We got mine is more of a concern as far as letting the community know that this is a big city and hanging out at Pillbox Medical should not be a thing. So this kind of leads into just loitering, but that's an in-game way to explain it. Out of game, I would say if you have the time and you're not, say you're a police officer and you go off duty and you go and sit at Pillbox for 2.5 hours, you know, doing really nothing, even if it's not even like good RP, you should have a story for that character that you're trying to pursue at some point. And you should be out in the city living. You're not just going to go down to the hospital and have a 3-hour coffee break with somebody. Even if your RP is kind of boring right now and there's not calls to go out on and stuff like that, have a story. Have something to work on. Figure it out. That's what I would say.
I've actually moved everybody from Pillbox. There's no loitering around Pillbox anymore. I will call the police if we see you. I've instructed all EMS to do that. There's the Legion Square that you can move down to and have fun. Too many things happen at Pillbox. We don't need loitering and smoking outside the doors or anything like that. Go down to Legion Square. There's many places around town. Go find them. Go hang out. Go have fun.
Yeah, I can understand there's a general meeting location. That's fine, you know, but you don't want to sit there for hours and hours of people just bullshitting and doing nothing really. You've got a story. You should have a story. Go. I hope that's good. So, 21. Killing locals should not be allowed at all. There's far too much of it, and I think it stems from boredom.
Probably.
I mean,
but there's a couple.
Yeah,
of
locals
things.
can. Yeah, they can just get in the way sometimes, and then it's like whatever. But if a cop is bored and you're standing in front of them, and then you just suddenly punch somebody out, I'm not going to yell at them if they arrest you for murder. It would be a butthole thing to do, but you know.
With the locals, I'll be honest with you, while streaming, if I'm in that hospital and I'm talking to those locals, we have all men downstairs or all ladies. I use those locals to role play myself. That way my stream has content. I have content. So please don't kill anybody outside of Pillbox. I use them. I use them for my role play because sometimes we don't have any patients in there. So, and it just makes it, why kill a local? It's their city too, right? It's their city too. Yeah, Cliff is
Yep.
upset.
Some locals are cool.
Yes.
Let me see. Next one. Sorry, I'm getting through these kind of quick. I've noticed a lot of players not valuing their life and rather abusing medical staff by doing nonsense type things. Yeah, I think this also, it kind of spurred off in the last couple days, especially with parachuting. Somebody falling and then dying over and over again. Well, dying loosely. Nobody can make you perma your character. But at the same time, if you jump off of a building and slam into the ground going however fast, and do that 5 or 6 times a day, at some point you need to go, okay, how does this make any sense? I am basically jelly at this point. My legs don't work anymore. Like, once or twice I can get it.
You're dead by that point. You can only break so many bones in your body. So don't abuse it. Come up with more creative injuries, and after 2 times, that's it. Take a break from that and take a day's rest and go do scuba diving or something. But yeah, don't abuse us.
Yeah, that just kind of makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Don't kill yourself times in a row. It doesn't work. Ooh, next one. Okay, another thing I would like to touch on is use of masks by characters. Just walking around, not doing crime or anything. This kind of bleeds into development a little bit because I'm sure in the future we're going to have the ability to put masks on and off. It might be a ways off until we get that ability. You'll just be able to hit a button and your guy will take your mask off. For now, you know, it takes a little extra extent to go, I'm not doing a crime. I'm going to go to the shop and take my mask off. That, in an ideal world, you would probably do that. Is everybody going to do that? No. Will that be solved in the future? Probably, with being able to take your mask on and off. For right now, I would blame that on it's a symptom of beta. It'll work itself out eventually.
I do want the ability to take your mask on and off, your helmet or your hat, and glasses just by typing a command.
What
There you
about Barometric and Simba and Hayden or Jaden?
Lillian as well.
go. Those are like very specific kind of things. I think everybody knows the guy in the bear mask at EMS isn't a criminal. He's not going to rob, walk into EMS and be treated as a threat. That's you got to use a little bit of, I hate to say it, common sense with it. Just go, okay, this guy's not a bank robber, but this other guy walks in. I don't know him. He's creepy. He looks like a bank robber. He's got nothing but a black mask on. How am I going to react? Those are individual instances of how you should react.
And I'm kind of torn with it, like, how, like, where's the realistic goal that we want to achieve? Like, Barometric is a nice little niche because, it's a play on words, right? And it works great. Astro, for example, uses a mask to breathe because Astro is not from this planet. Those are two awesome things. But where do we draw the line? Like, that's something we have to find as a community.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this line drawn? Lillian, if you're not familiar with Lillian's story, Lillian slipped into a mask and
was jumping on the bed, fell off, and fell right into a mask. And Lillian is one of the characters that does do crime, but the thing is, always has that mask on.
Right.
So you know exactly who Lillian is, and Lillian always talks. So it's not like you're gonna probably hear that character before you see them.
Right, and it's it was an interesting story because it's stuck on Lillian, right? Like, you can't take the mask off. It's a part of the backstory.
Plus, a lot of characters are familiar with him. They know this is Lillian. He wears a mask. If some random dude walks in with a mask on, I'm gonna be a little suspicious of you. If you're not dangerous, well, then I'll figure that one out in time. If you are, I'm gonna protect myself if necessary, kind of.
Oh yeah, what Alex said also. Always driving the yellow vehicles as well. Just wears a mask, but makes self super known.
To be clear, Lillian can't drive. It's the autopilot.
The autopilot. She has an auto car.
The robot car.
Yeah, it's a niche little RP thing. It's next one. I've seen a lot of issues with criminals in this city and how they conduct crimes currently. Using friends as hostages, using more than 4 people involved in a crime, flying airplanes around and using them for crimes, abusing police. Well, this is something we went over with police a little bit. Multiple points have touched on it so far. Flying. We had a bank robbery recently where somebody staged an airplane in Toledo behind the bank, and they were going to run to it and get away to it. Things got a little bit muddy with that RP at some point, but I don't have a problem with that. That's cool. The police let you get to that airplane. Well, there you go. You got away on an airplane. Hey, chase them with a helicopter. If they're not prepared for that, the bank just got robbed. As long as you're not abusing it, you're not going to park an airplane directly in front of a bank door in the middle of the road and that thing not get taken out before you get to it. They're going to shoot the rotor blade. They're going to do something. Why wouldn't they? It's very specific.
Right, I would say, like, park your mode of flight away and have a chase to it and have the cops go like, oh, son of a biscuit.
If it's your ultimate getaway, don't put it in danger because they will disable it.
Like, give a chase to it. Be like, ha ha ha, sucker, we're going to fly away. It's like, that would be awesome. I would be like, okay, that was really cool. Thank you for being very creative, right? That would be my response to it. It's like, this is nice.
Yeah, this guy, he also touches on a couple things like stealing cop cars, kidnapping officers, etc., etc. If you can pull off kidnapping an officer while that guy has a gun, I'm gonna applaud you. Go for it. That's RP. It's solid RP. Stealing cop cars. Did they leave their car unlocked? I mean,
I
hop.
I
I
will
do
I
have to.
will add
Yeah,
on to
Ziba might hit
this
this.
that you won't be able to steal a car in like 2 seconds in the
Nice.
You
Nice.
will need lockpicks. You will need to spend time picking the lock and starting it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be much harder if you see them run up on somebody and then suddenly you just hop in their car. That can.
I will say something though, that stealing cars from officers compounds a bug that's in the game that we can't get around. Because I've noticed this when I've come back, that if for whatever reason I had to recall my vehicle, not related to stealing, I end up with the bug where it's the lock and unlock issue. So ideally what should happen is if an officer's car is stolen, they should go get a different model car from the vehicle pool. However, that causes an issue where you now have two cars on the map, which then you can't use the shortcut to lock and unlock. You can, however, use the K muscle, but you're only compounding the problem of the bug that's known, which, I mean, in my mind, that could be an exploit if you do it repeatedly, because then you're just exploiting this known bug and you're making it very difficult on those officers to lock their vehicle like they should. My advice to every officer who has their car stolen, you get in the car, you lock your car, because that way when you get out of the car,
It's automatically locked.
right, you don't have to worry about it.
Hey. Okay, 25. This one kind of bleeds into Z a little bit, but this is, could we possibly vote as a server on major changes within reason to a world? Yeah, basically server-wide voting on big major changes. Currently, no. I think we all know what happens when video games let their communities run everything.
Yeah, right now things like money are insane. We all know that. We all either have millions of dollars or nothing. Um, a lot of the money is going to change. A lot of things are going to change. I'm going to add stuff and people aren't going to like it. And I'm going to change things and people aren't going to like it, or they're going to love it, or they're going to exploit it. The the big thing is we need to get these things in the game, period. And then we can make adjustments to them later. So understand that just because you're all spawning in Mirror Park right now and you hate it because this, that, and the other, doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. It's a foundation on which we need to build other things on top of. So I know you all hate spawning in Mirror Park and you have to go across the map. There's a reason for that. And we're going to make it so that you don't have to go across the map. You're going to have spawn points. You're going to have places that are safe for you to spawn in, and makes it so you don't fall through the map. And then police and EMS don't spend 30, 45 minutes every restart saving people from the heck realm. So know that things are going to come in. You might not like them. They're going to be adjusted. We'll work on it.
Pretty much.
There you go. The next one, I don't really know. Realism of criminals being ID'd by voice if wearing masks. This seems to be unrealistic because realistically, some people sound the same. Catch 22, if they did check ID before they got away, then obviously they would know. Example, two characters came in a pillbox handcuffed, saying they lost the key while having sex, and the cops took them into custody.
I have something about this.
And I believe booked them on robbery or whatever they were originally being arrested for.
First of all, if you're in handcuffs, you can't drive a damn car. That's my first point. Like, you can't drive a damn car because you're handcuffed. In theory, your hands should be behind your back, right? So, when you get into a car, because you're handcuffed, because you can actually do it. You can't actually get into a car. That can happen. Um, Also, I would say it'd be great karma. It would be great karma if you never had them taken off and you ran from the cops, because you're just gonna starve.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, since Z's in here, will lockpicks apply to handcuffs? So if you do somehow manage to get away on foot,
Hmm. Possibly.
okay. So that's as far as we can go with answering this one. If you can get away on foot, you're a god, and I applaud you. If you jump into a car and act like you can drive it with your knee, let's not push it a little bit here. Come on now.
I've seen instances of friend like teammates saving their friends when they're handcuffed and then getting away without any kind of dirty play.
Yeah. I mean, that's great, but then how are you going to get it off? It's a limitation
Yeah.
that may and or may not be resolved. Like we just heard, we'll find.
As far as about voice identity, I was actually reading case law on this. It's been used in the past,
Next
especially if you have a unique voice. You know, like Peter Griffin, for example. Chad has a unique voice, right? It's the way
Yeah.
they talk and the way they conduct themselves and how they speak is something that is very identifiable.
Yeah, if you put a mask on and still use the exact same voice that's very identifiable and the cop has interacted with you before or maybe knows your character, don't act like suddenly the mask is going to change your identity to them. They're going to go, wait a minute, I know the person doing this. I don't know anybody else that talks like this. Now, I would like it to be they should have met you in game or have some familiarity with your character, obviously, if that's
Or
first
just
time.
use a voice changer.
Yeah, change it up if you don't want to be caught and identified by your voice. There are ways to do these things.
There is a rule with the voice changer, though. It's got to be something that people can hear.
I'm
You know,
sure you
if-
can
if
hear
the-
me.
Kind of.
Exactly.
Like I
That's-
understood it, right?
Yeah, that's the point. Understand it, but
Right,
not be
yeah.
able to
But
tell.
if it's just a really terrible voice, let me be frank. If it's a shitty voice changer, I'm not going to be able to hear you, and I'm not going to role play with you flat out.
Yep.
If you
Right.
see people leaving you when you're trying to talk to them, and you're using a voice changer, that's probably a good clue, especially if they say, "Sorry, gotta go," you know, to like get out of the situation.
Same with EMS. If you come in and you have a voice change and we can't understand you, I'll just basically say that you have laryngitis or something. I'll give you a pill for it, and that's it. Gone. Bye.
You got a sore throat. Shut
You
the
got a
fuck
sore
up.
throat.
Okay, next one. I hope we're not going through these too quick for people that are trying to talk about
No,
them.
we're at what, an hour? We're about an
Yeah.
hour and 9 in.
So 27 is the last one on the list. Where is the line of characters / a gang member communicating outside of the gang? Example: a gang that wants a coherent strategy across all of its members that are not in the city at the same time. Specifically, who has or has not paid protection money or is not contesting their control of a trade. Should a group Discord also include a Zeely or another city bigwig? I mean, you
I
can
have
control his
a couple
in-game,
thoughts about this.
but you go ahead because I don't.
So first of all, if you could keep it within the game, within the server role play, and have those conversations, awesome. I also understand that a group of players that are in a gang might be so large that you span multiple time zones, and it's very difficult for you to coordinate in the game all of the time, right? Especially, let's face it, we have queues. Queues are here to stay. I have not seen a night where we have not had a queue in at least 6 weeks during prime time,
Yep.
right?
This one also seems rather easy to figure out from an RP point of view. If you're going to be in a gang, there's going to be some sort of an initiation. During that initiation, lay out how your gang operates. Do this, this, or this. And that's how we do things around here. And then you give all your money to me at the end of the day. There's going to be a weird hierarchy to it.
Right.
If they're not setting that up, it's a shit gang. They're going to probably not last. There's a reason they have hierarchies.
Right. Other things is maybe you have to have maybe you have a Discord private message group, a group message. We were talking about, hey, this is what happened today. If your character, you know, can do what we had planned, it'll be okay. Like, if you need to keep the story going and you need to communicate to them that this is where we left off in the story, um, I'm sure. I mean, I feel okay with it, as if you say, "Oh yeah, I got an email from so and so telling me to do this," like the police use email all the time. Like, "Oh, let me email you this report." Got it. Thank you. Because there's a lot of stuff, instead of just sitting there and telling every single person the same thing repeatedly. This happened on this case. This happened on this case. We have documents. We have detective reports. We have case reports. We have a
Yeah.
lot of stuff as cops. And it's taken a while to get there and to get to an understanding of where we want it to be, as opposed to just show up, arrest a guy, put him in jail, send him to prison, and then go to the next one. I don't want it to be like that. Ideally, what I would love is if somebody is arrested, there's at least an attorney online, and there's at least a prosecutor that's available, and those two argue out the final charges based on the recommendation of the cops that arrested the person. So the cops can get back on the street, and then when it's time, if they decided that there's a quote-unquote plea deal with this, they just ping the officers to come back and be like, okay, we've agreed to this, send him to prison, and then done.
Yeah, and passing information from like gang member to gang member if they're offline, obviously it's a little bit of a gray line. You want to keep as much of it in RP as you can, but if you were to send somebody a message on Discord saying, "Hey, I texted you this to your character's phone," it's kind of maybe not a summary, but like a, put the money here, and that person's out of the game because they live on the other side of the world. I could see that working. It's not ideal. You want to keep everything in the game that you can, and ultimately not break it, because that is a little meta. So if it's not worthy of putting it in character chat on Discord, and it's something you want to keep secret, you should probably find ways to facilitate that in game. Because if you do it privately, then there's always going to be questions of, is this meta, is that meta? Just avoid the situation if you think it's going to break a fucking rule.
Well, if you
Or
really
ask.
consider it's going to break a rule, we've got the form to ask.
Yeah, asking is like so easy. Go for it. Don't directly message an admin unless we've had people like straight up crying to admins constantly. So that's why I introduced the new rule a little while ago. Admins shouldn't be messaged directly. We have forms for it. If it takes a day for us to get back to you, sorry. Hopefully it's not like that all the time. It shouldn't be. I will look and I'll get you. Don't worry. I mean, as far as actual questions on the form.
We're now back to, I think we're in development after this.
Oh, development. Yeah, I forgot.
Development.
Starts on 6.
Yep. Given we already have, someone is looking to have some pleasure done by in-game hookers. Probably
No.
need a little bit more help
No.
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 than this.
No. No.
Can't
no,
ERP people.
Done.
No.
Get out. Thanks for
No.
asking that question and making me laugh and then wonder how.
If you
How-
pay Jesus enough money, he'll do anything. That's all
I will tell you that there is Twitch TOS that falls into play. There is a rule. If you guys look at the rules, it talks about content creators and whatnot. And we do actually have to be within Twitch TOS. I would say 99.9% of the time. If you know for a
Actually
fact,
blacklisted all of the naked pets in.
right? They're supposed
Yeah.
to be. I don't know if they've if they. I haven't seen them in a while, but
There
they should-
is a girl in Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, there's a few of them in Playboy Mansion that are
And-
walking around.
One location up in the mountains. There's a jolly old fellow.
Okay.
to air
Well,
out
I
his
missed
laundry.
those, but
Oh, Wrinkle Wiener. Yeah. Forgot about
There's also, there was a question regarding TOS and Vanilla Unicorn. Basically, Twitch TOS is on stance. As far as the story is concerned, they say it's okay to be there, but don't linger. As far as roleplay is concerned, we've removed all the people that should show up there that
Yep.
would give you some Twitch TOS troubles or YouTube troubles. So it should be okay to be there as long as you're not doing things that would explicitly break TOS with another player. Although I would
Yeah.
tell you, don't do that. You could go elsewhere for that.
Oh yeah, and quick, like speaking of TOS, if your big thing while we're on the server, and right now the server has an event of this specific charity that's against domestic violence, sexual abuse, if your big thing is running around, crouching, pointing, and sticking your hand up somebody's ass,
I'll
I'm not
shoot
going to be
you.
okay with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull it down a little bit. Bring it down. You don't know who you're interacting with on the other side. You don't want to offend anybody, even if it could or couldn't, depending on the person. You know, don't be a dick. Just keep it in line. Let everybody have fun. There you go.
I was not too happy. There's an event on the server right now. And the jerk basically stuck his hand through my character's butt while I was trying to talk to somebody else, and I turned around and I shot him with a shotgun.
Yeah, it's goofy. If you're gonna one-on-one that with a friend somewhere away from everybody else, whatever. If you're gonna go into a giant group of people and start messing with everybody, relax. But yeah, I'm not going to do the closing remark, but I'm glad you guys are all here to talk to us. Maybe now you get some of our attitudes and how we look at server and development and shiz.
But we're not done.
I know.
We've got
just saying, thanks.
in regards to casualness for LGBT, effectively close. I know that they're limited to the models. I don't know if there's a development thing that can be done with it to unlock things. We've got Crappy Gamer or anyone else want to chime in on it. There was an option that someone had pointed out to me that you could take your what was it? What did you do? Hot fingers for Moses?
Oh, right now you can do a male or female face on either body, but this is specifically asking towards, say, the male body being able to put on a dress.
Yeah, I
which
don't
is
know if
currently you
can
can't do
actually
that.
Okay, yeah. So a big issue is the models of the clothing are limited to the model wearing it. And if I tell you go put on shirt number 13, the two different models are going to have two different shirts.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
it's-
not a developer, but I can tell you that's a lot more work than people would think it is to fix it, if possible at all. And you might just have to work around with the faces and having a specific body.
I'm gonna say that clothing and cars in this game are a big pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's not like there's pattern, like when you see like the checkered pattern, that's a pattern, that's a model you don't have the texture for. And so when you see that somehow you either didn't download it with your stuff, when you downloaded 5M or anything, or it's not loading in the game properly. That's
Yeah.
why we have default Dans that sometimes run around with the checkered shoes.
Yeah, if you are default Dan, you will be treated as a terrorist, by the way.
Well, there's only
don't
one
do
default Dan in the city, and that's Chaos. And Chaos, when he first got on the server, I think I threatened to shoot him.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure out clothing in the future because everyone hates having to go through and find crap that doesn't clip through their arms and all this. But right now, clothing is kind of at the bottom of the list as far as priority, but it's not, it's not gonna fall off the bottom of the list. It's just very complex, especially with the framework that we're using. The VRP framework is pretty atrocious, and we're trying to get away from it. And the more we work towards phasing out pieces of it, the easier it will be for us to do custom clothing and all that. Now there will be limitations no matter what we do, because we are technically doing stuff with a game that was never meant to do any of this. So, but yeah, I mean it's on the list. It's just not priority. Right now we're trying to get all the functionality as good as we can get it.
Them as public, they can view the Trello board, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna link the Trello board for a second, so you guys can all see that are all listening. Maybe it'll give you a bit of a perspective and how paced things are.
It is.
Because
This
we've
is
had to
also
also,
linked in server notifications, server the wiki.
yeah,
It's linked in various places under. It's pinned as well.
yeah. This will kind of help give you an idea if you didn't know about it, and also how much we've had to slow down some development because people are breaking game mechanics and abusing things, and like, don't be and we'll have fun stuff faster. I don't even know what question we're on now.
I do. Hold on. I do. I do want to
The
say I
11.
appreciate the question, and I appreciate someone thinking in that regards. It's just something that we have
Yeah,
a
it's
challenge with at the moment, right?
yeah, because we are limited. Believe it or not, the code does designate binary gender. There's no way to code around that. The only thing we can do is add these clothing models in the future and see if we can't, get, whatever. I don't care. I would love to add it. I don't know how to add it, but I would love to add it.
We'll get there. I know we're a new slash young city, but I think we need to give more people other things to do around town. We actually hit on this a little bit earlier. We have bars and clubs. They could be fun, but limit RP eventually. I mean, you could have a karaoke night. You could have a stand-up night. You could have a dance party. You could have a birthday party. I mean, you could do all kinds of things. You could be the owner, and you could have people work it. I think additional businesses are needed to expand RP and give destinations for players to expand storylines. Jim Bob is an excellent example of this. Has the garage in Polito. It comes with the office. It's got its own workspace. It's amazing. It's all done in RP, right? It's he doesn't actually own it. He doesn't actually make money if you go and use it when he's not there, right? It's all RP based. And when Jim Bob is working, Jim Bob can have a tow truck ready to go. Jim Bob can respond to your needs for assistance when you wreck your car. Again, Inspector Becky.
Crappy want to mention anything? Because he knows a lot about the. It might be a repeat of what he said.
Yeah, we'll bring him. Is Crappy unmuted now?
I'm still here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, add to it.
So yeah, basically, kind of like what Azili was saying. Right now, we don't have any official business functionality in the server. It's something that we plan to do in the long haul as part of our balancing of the economy and getting everything set up. But like she had said, Jim Bob is a good example of how that can still be done without that functionality. Tussie also has his own good distribution where he basically claimed the docks as his official place of operation, where he does all of his deliveries right from out of there. Lily Cookie claimed the comedy club is her place of business that she's working off of. So there's ways to do it without having any functionality around it. Um, Basically, the world is your oyster. So you just if you decide you want an idea that's not incorporated yet for a business, talk to Azili, talk to Zbad, talk to me. whatever you need to do to kind of establish that this is the idea that you have, this is how you want to do it, and we'll do what we can to accommodate that, while we are waiting for us to get our official and property ownership in place.
I would also like to add, it depends on, you can gauge things with the jobs that are in the game now. For instance, if I'm doing tow on Moses, I'm going to drive the tow truck around. And if you wreck your car, I'm not going to just get out and repair it. It's flipped, everything right on the side of the road, and then you're going to drive off. No, I'm going to put it on the back of my truck and haul your ass all the way to a garage. And if you don't like it, call somebody else. But I might stab you for stiffing me on a bill. Like, that's what I'm going to do. You don't have to do that as the job. But there are ways to expand things. You can really get into it if you want to.
There's
Damn it.
there's a comment about what if people ignore you in like PDM and you try to RP with them. If they ignore you, I would tell them that they should find a Lost Customs that is, or a PDM that's not like, hey, give me some time and you can come back later when I'm not RPing car sales. Or if you're doing Lost Customs, and if there's what, at least 6, 4.
Yeah.
Right, there's 4. Airport, middle of the town, over there on the east side, and then Sandy. So 4. They could pick a different one to go to. I had an incident where I was trying to, role play with the garage staff, and I had some jerk come in and just honk at me while I'm in Lost Customs. So I got out of Lost Customs and waited for them to go in, and then, they weren't very patient with me, and I was pretty much ready to hit the ban button. But I decided I would rather just talk to them and tell them, there are many Lost Customs around town. You don't have to come to this one. And it was quite rude. And it was done on my stream. And so everybody got to see them be rude. And so now when I encounter that character and I'm streaming, people remember this and they think that person's an asshole.
There you go.
So good job. As far as stuff like that, like PDM, there's only one PDM, but isn't there another? There's like another, like the import shop and whatnot. I mean, I would just say
there will be an import store, where you can buy cars that aren't natively available to GTA, like kind of like the Patreon cars, except you can just purchase them outright. And it'll be separate from PDM. We'll have someone else running it. I'm also imagining a tuner shop, which allows people to take their cars and get modifications done. I see. Sorry, what's PDM? PDM is Premium Deluxe Motorsports. It is the place where you can go test and drive cars. In the future, it'll be the place where you buy your cars from. Yeah, you can just kind of see what the cars are before you actually purchase them currently. Because we're working around limitations of our framework. Okay, so back to what I was saying, the tuner shop will allow you to get upgrades, make your car go a little faster, maybe more resilient to crashes, better transmission, make your car faster. There will also be some underground modifications, which is a whole nother thing, which involves if your car gets impounded by the police, they'll seize illegal modifications and you'll lose them. So you don't want to, get caught with those type things. But that's all future stuff. So there's a lot of future jobs coming, like truck driving and things like that.
postal, right? Go postal jobs.
Go postal jobs, road construction, anything you can pretty much think of, we can make a something for it. Yeah, there's logging, there's chicken farm, there's a slaughterhouse, there's a foundry, There's, pretty much everything you can think of. They put in this game somewhere. So, um, we got to see about how they fit in. You know, am I going to spend 10, 20 hours coding something that no one's really going to use? I'd rather, put that to the side. If it's something that's popular, something that, can it be an automated process, or do we want someone to man it? If someone is running the place, are they going to have employees to be there, 24 hours a day, give or take? Because if you want to go buy a car and it's an owned store and there's nobody on, how do you buy a car? You know,
Right.
that kind of thing. Got to think about all that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's in development that we still have to get to. Any chance of a wiki entry for key bindings? I actually sent this individual a link. We do actually have it. It is a thing. It is also should be linked on the very first page if you ever click on the TheCrewRp logo at the top. It is called Game Controls, and I have this dropping in chat if you've ever wondered. That was put in large part by Susan, and it gets changed not as often because we're pretty stable with these controls. But like text commands are those change a little bit. We've also got advanced role specific controls for lights and whatnot. Oh, this goes to the businesses. Does business will get update? Hire citizens for specific business sector, office location, automatic salary, defined salary. Thoughts? Is question 10.
The way it reads is they want a system built into the actual server itself that would handle payouts, hierarchy, who's an employee, blah blah blah. Obviously, Z can answer that one, but I can tell you it'll be a fucking while if ever.
It'll be a while.
Yeah.
You can
Right
RP
now, if it is a city position, such as police, EMS, anything that's controlled by the city, um, repair, because they go around and they fix our infrastructure, they do earn a salary. I can't justify putting in salaries for every job in, that's out there because the city doesn't control them, and there will be people who will take a job just to get a salary and not do anything. So the ones that have defined salaries and the ones that get paid from the city are performing an active service, and that's pretty much the way it rolls for that. If you own a company, let's say you own PDM, you are running the place, you have employees, you're going to pay them from the money you earn from selling cars. You will have to, you know, um, when you sell a car, it'll go into the company budget, and then you pay your employees either on a commission or salary or however you want to handle that. I'll leave that up to you.
I mean, to me that sounds great. It's RP, man. I mean, I would be willing to give someone the office manager role to kind of like handle some of that, so that way you are actually making a little bit of money to do all the admin function of owning said business, and part of your salary would go towards paying some other people this. I mean, you're not going to be filthy rich from the office manager role. You do have to request it using the proper form. It is linked on the rules. It's also linked in the wiki, and then also within the rules in the wiki. To do that, especially while you're just still kind of setting up and figuring out how you could do it, it would. Destiny is on the desk now. it would give you the ability to make a little bit of money while you're trying to figure out how you could role play stuff, right?
Right.
Like the DA currently is an office manager position because it is kind of a one size fits all because they would technically get paid by the city. Uh, Mildred is an office manager position when she's on because she is a city employee who manages some of the licensing stuff to give a little bit of role play when your character gets a license. So it's not just you interacting with an officer who is already busy and stressed.
I do have one of those for EMS too. I can
Isn't it?
actually create.
Yeah, I mean we could put her in
Okay,
that too.
perfect. Perfect.
Um,
I would love that.
There's a couple other people that are in it because they're doing other things that don't necessarily quote unquote get them money all the time because they're trying to do something else for the server, um, as opposed to go grab a little bit of money to pay some people. Uh, I know that there's a lot of requests on the server event form. Just know that we have a team that's looking into that now because clearly you guys have a lot of awesome ideas and I want to make it happen, but I'm one person. And I'm managing quite a lot of moving targets and a lot of needs and balances versus wants.
Right.
So
And
now
and
we have a
there's
team for that.
I also want to point out that some of the operations that we want to implement, such as real estate, we need someone in a group of people who are going to be real estate agents, loan officers. When I say loan officers, we want people to do repossessions on cars. We want repossession, or foreclosures on
Better
houses.
pay back Mr. Gray.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be, instead of a giant amount of money down to buy an apartment, you're going to pay a little bit, but you're going to have to pay it monthly or weekly or however, the game time works. We're going to make car payments instead of, you want to buy that $1.6 million car, you might have to put 50,000 down, but you got to make payments on it or else someone can come and repossess it. So these kinds of things, when we put these operations in and these processes in, will create jobs. I sound like a politician at this point, but that's literally what's going to happen.
Eventually,
We're on number
right?
10, right? Like the whole business thing still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're on
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah. So not to keep mentioning Spencer and Georgia because I think everyone knows that they run the unicorn. There's so much paperwork that we did for them that me and Nif share about like schedules. We actually worked out pay. We worked out uniforms and stuff. We have like their interview sheets with names, numbers, background checks. Like you could RP all that dang nonsense and work out their pay, work out the tips, all those numbers.
They came into the
That
police department looking for criminal records.
Yeah, we do background checks on those characters. Do background checks on people, and you don't need a business update. You just do that yourself. Like
Just
all
role
that,
play.
you could just do it. Yeah. Like there's no job in set in the server for a bouncer or a DJ or a whatever other nonsense. We go out in the city, hire people, and of course schedules conflict. We go the tried and true method of, hey, who wants to help right now today? Because we have no one. And people will help out. Like the 4th of July event. We grabbed Grum as Tussie and Citra as Jim Bob and gave them stuff. I'm sure they were paid. I don't remember what Spencer and Georgia do at this point, my brain. But yeah, you just you work it out, you RP it, and then just have fun. Like it's a good time.
Create stories.
Mm-hmm.
We all love to watch everybody's stories.
Yeah.
In addition to that, when you said making, going to the police department for background checks, I am going to make a public side for the NDT so that people can go to the courthouse and look up public records such as your own if you're wanted, if you have how many points on your license. Hint, hint.
Eventually, yeah.
So you don't want G Money going into the cop station and say, "Hey, do I got any warrants on me?" Wag.
Right.
Right, and then he has a warrant and is arrested.
I mean, at least he went to check.
Right. Well, on traffic stops, I often ask, do you have any, things that'll poke me, prod me, hurt you, destroy the world, or any warrants I should be concerned about? Um,
And just remember that things like license points. We're gonna introduce something like this in the future where, you get pulled over for speeding, you get some points. Eventually they'll fall off over time. And sometimes you might get a suspended license, and we'll see, what's fair. If literally in one day you got a suspended license because you were just driving like an asshole, then maybe you deserved it. But if it happens a lot, and maybe we need to adjust that to make it maybe a little bit more, because if you're like me, I barely stop at red lights.
yeah, but that also gives officers and a moment to do something that's not just, oh, you robbed yet another store, or you grabbed yet another Tonka truck, right?
Right.
Like,
So, I mean, this kind of stuff's going to happen. What if someone has a revoked license, they get pulled over? Oh, now we got to tow your car. So that brings in the tow drivers more. We're
and
going
you have to use a taxi or Uber, right?
right.
Or be a monkey and steal a robot car prototype from an underground facility and name it your own.
So, yeah.
There you go.
Right, like you could operate on, no cop, no stop, right? Like, but they might be
That's
hiding in
pretty
the
much my
alley,
motto.
and they might see you, right? Like,
Exactly. So there's going to be, as we add these things, more ability for yeah, okay, now you have points on your license. How did you, instead of just waiting, maybe we need to have someone who does DMV, where you take a driving course. If you've ever watched some other servers, they have someone who does, like driving exams, where they can get some of the points taken off.
right.
So they're all
Uh,
coming. They
there was
really
a
are. I mean,
comment on felonies and other criminal records. Those won't really, like, if it's a bad crime, it's not gonna quote unquote fall off, right? Right now, as far as like the fine structure that I had kind of thought up and planned and thought and planned and thought and planned. Yeah, it's a little excessive if you're not, out doing some repairs right now. But also at the same time, it's very easy to get money. Uh, pardons can happen, quote unquote, or an expungement of a record eventually, but those are going to be extreme cases. As far as like your traffic tickets, officers have to kind of gauge. Oh, this is the sixth in 3 months, so okay, this is bad. Versus, oh, I see 10, but then they count and like, oh, there's only really 2 in the last month, right? Officers have to do a lot of stuff. So I don't know if we're done with that topic, database
I
and
think we're
whatnot.
good for now.
Can we get a legal informer as NPC? That is, you've been
Yes.
planning that, yes?
See,
Yeah.
actually,
I mean,
Crappy's doing that right now.
it's coming. First, it's a proof of concept, and then it's a proof of what can we do, right?
Right.
The first
Yeah,
proof of
kinda like
concept
the
was
boost.
that. Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
we see the boost as a physical NPC. We're gonna do the same thing with the informer, and the informer isn't just gonna be in one spot up in Sandy. He's gonna be in different places. Also, in the future, there are going to be roaming NPCs. They will just walk the streets like any other uh, local that you see. They will be noticeable, but they will roam around. If Crappy has some more deep.
No, I think you did pretty good with tackling it. Basically, our idea is just to completely overhaul the illegal informant as it is now, and actually replace it with a physical NPC that isn't quite so predictable as it is now. I personally want to get it to where, even though there may be a set number of locations where they'll show up, it's randomized enough to where nobody is just going to be able to know right where they're at every time. It's going to be, I want it to be to a point where, even if, let's say, for example, the informant has 6 spots they show up, it's just random enough to where somebody's not just going to be able to identify exactly where they're at right away. I want there to be sort of a challenge to it. Right now, I mean, it's easy enough to just go to a predefined spot, find where you got to go next, and get done with everything. My hope is to get it to a point where you're not so necessarily so reliant on the informant, but more memory. But also having to actually work for what you're trying to get, because there's enough variation to where you're not just going to the same spot every time or shuffling between the same 3 spots because you know where they're at every time.
Atola, you forgot to answer. You forgot an important part of that answer about upcoming features. It's coming soon if it's possible, comma, if you're not being dicks to each other, period. Because we've had to stop a lot of development to go shore up something because someone just finds an abuse and just abuses it. That's simple. Just like, if you're in prison, you're in prison.
Yeah, save the breakouts for when that thing is completely shored up and ready.
Also,
What I would like to have is, and this goes to a question that was asked a while ago that I pinned about bail and awaiting arraignment or waiting your court. What I would love to have is that if a character goes the route of bail, first of all, until their court is done, until their court case happens, they're on bail. So if they get in trouble, bam, they're right into prison as if the trial had happened, and they are caught. So they get the new charges plus the old charges. You're going away for a while. But what would be awesome is, when it's time for said criminal to be transferred to prison, there is the bus that we have coming for the police to allow us to drive them to prison. That would be an opportunity for a quote-unquote break, right? And this would be something you'd probably want to have planned a little bit, just because if you were to just attack the bus and it wasn't quite, hey, a heads up, I have this awesome story idea, you would probably get a few mod reports about RDM or VDM.
And I personally, I can answer way to speak. I'd probably get rid of those, to be honest, because it's a prison bus, it's a transport, it's got inherent damage or inherent danger of being attacked. So that would be leave it
right.
to the
But
police
if it's just all the time and it's people not involved in the story,
if it's every time, that's
that would
stupid.
be you inserting yourself into the story,
Yeah, exactly.
not being a part of the story.
Yeah, if somebody robs a bank and you only arrest one of the 3 of them that were there, and you're transporting that person, you should probably have a hair on the back of your neck saying, hey, there might be 2 people out here looking for us. If it's somebody completely uninvolved trying to be an asshole, you're probably going to get a mod report for inserting.
I don't want a civil court, because civil court is basically someone whining about something else. And that you guys should be adults. If Billy Bob hit you with the taser and you fired back, I mean, if Billy Bob, who is yelling because Jim shot him with the taser because Billy Bob shot him with the taser, I mean, do you guys both want to go to prison for assault on each other, or you guys want to be adults and be like, okay, I'm sorry?
Well, it's also the question we get about if there's no lawyer on and you're being an absolute butthole to a cop, don't be mad when he finds everything he can to possibly hit you with and send you to prison for a long time. That's just how it works.
That was actually part of that question is ultimately, and if we had everything working and running the way that I think it should work and the way that devs think it should work, we would have an attorney on for the prosecution and an attorney on for the defense, and they would argue your case with each other, and the cops would just go back out on the street until something has been resolved. As far as like a bail, bails start at, I think the minimum is 100,000. You can call a friend, get some bail money. But in that case, that's where we would have a bounty hunter available if you skip your trial. But the only way you can get to that is if we have the attorneys to do the actual negotiation in the trial portion. There would be a warrant out for your arrest already, but it's pending the trial, just so that way they don't have to do it. It's easier to cancel it and to keep it fresh than to make it if you skip. There's a lot of crimes and there's a lot of reports that go on. But to tie into hot fingers, if you're just arguing and you're being argumentative, enough is enough. If you notice that it's been 20 minutes and you've been arguing for 20 minutes, maybe you just gotta not be an ass.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to blame a cop if he goes, okay, I'm tired of this. There are no lawyers on. I'm just sending you to prison.
Can I make one comment? Music Chick brought it up. As
Yeah.
EMS, when you actually do a 911 call, you just don't, you talk to the 911 operator. When you do make those calls, please put in it that I fell, I'm hurt. Role play that. Give us, like Music Chick, give us a bone to go after you and say, oh my God, I know this person's going to be drowned, or I know this person has a stab wound. The worst thing is when we get an EMS call and it's blank. You don't talk. You actually have to talk to a 991 person. So yeah, if you can actually do that for us, it actually helps our jobs and helps your role play, because that's what we are there for, is your role play. So if
And
you can do that.
The event form is the best way to get a hold of somebody to discuss ideas and whatnot. And if you think it needs approval, use the event form. As far as like some other things that I'm seeing in chat really quick, let's back up a second. Some interesting statistics that we've got there for the server. As far back to Civil Court, hey, if you want to put it together, by all means do it, and do it through the event form. I can't do it. You do it. You try it. There's a comment, permadeath? Oh wait, did we lose something in planning?
I hit a button. I'm sorry.
Can you control Z?
I did like 15 times. It didn't come back.
Do more control Zs.
Fuck.
Anyway, perma.
Oh, one more.
That was the
Okay,
illegal
whatever.
chant. Okay, that was.
Yeah.
Perma seems to be non-existent within the server due to the availability of getting revived. I can tell you, if I shoot you with a shotgun, you're gonna lose your aptitudes and your inventory. Are there any plans to change that in the future? You should be valuing your life. But here's the thing: we do have a challenge, and this is a challenge for the police and for the EMS, right? This is the challenge. Are we looking to completely deter? Or are we looking to have a roleplay punishment?
Well,
right?
Yeah, it's also, in my opinion on it, nobody's going to force you ever to perma your character.
I will.
Unless you're banned, the character is going to live if you want him to live. At the same time, it goes back to what I said earlier with etiquette. If you are jumping off of a building and dying 15 times in however long, in the 6 hours you're playing on the server, that's just shitty RP at that point. Like there has to be an excuse for it. At some point, you're going to break legs, you're going to do something. There has to be an RP change if you get knocked out, kind of thing, so many times.
And
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, that's just something that I think as people learn how to RP, they'll start to understand, like, hey, maybe this shit's annoying and I shouldn't do it all the time.
Another
Cops
thing
have a
is,
1 hour limit of medical RP, and then they get it
yes,
back on the streets.
I have dealt with a few permadeaths, and I'll be honest with you, I role played that. I made the person who actually permadeath their character cry. Um, it is as a doctor at EMS, I get to know that character. If you really want a permadeath, I'm down for it, but trust me, I'm gonna make you cry. I'm gonna make you cry while you're permadeathing that character because that character has a life, and um, to me, to me, it's valuable, and I care about every single one of you. So yeah, but we did have some permadeaths that were amazing storylines, and they created nice endings. And now they're at the cemetery, and some people actually go visit them. So yeah, yeah.
It's not ever going to be coded. I'm going to tell you that right now. I as a programmer and as someone who sees this as a chance to play a story, am not going to force someone to stop playing a character. Now, admins might have a reason to say this character needs to be done, but as far as code, there is never going to be a pass fail check. No one's rolling a 20-sided dice to see if you live because that's not fair. You know, maybe something went down and you didn't want to die. But you should also consider that if you took a shotgun to the face, that maybe your character needs to be in ICU for a while. Maybe
Right.
that character needs to be out of commission for a while. You got to play with some believable outcome, you know. But I am not ever going to code something that says you're dead, you're done.
Yeah, you have to apply. A lot of people like to use what the hell is it? Improv comedy. When you're up, it's yes and. So if somebody shoots you in the back of the head with a fucking shotgun, you don't go, oh, that never happened. I'm just gonna walk away and go rob another bank. No, it's
No,
okay. That
no.
happened, and what do I do next?
Yeah.
You got to build on it.
Yeah. So basically, he said, as the architecture of the building, she's not going to make any trap doors to kill you, but the admins will throw you out the top floor window.
Okay, we got what, three more?
Yeah.
I just dropped a link to the bug tracker. If you have a suggestion, I mean, there's a proper place. Just throw it in there. That
Yep.
way, Crappy
You
Gamer
don't
can
have to
kind
create an
of
account.
yeah, just do it anonymously. If you think that we're gonna have to talk to you, then you could put like your Discord name there, and then someone can reach out to you to clarify something. Like if it's a very elaborate thing, I think there's only a certain amount of words you could type in there. I don't know. I've never hit the limit, but then again, I'm very brief. Uh, but they
Yeah,
also know how to
it's a
talk to me.
it's a fairly long list box. It's meant for being able to paste like bug reports and stuff like, or not bug reports, like crash logs and stuff in there. So it's a pretty lengthy.
I I do want to say that though sometimes people like to get into some comas or incapacitation, which is really what it is. Your character can't move. Whether you're playing that you're actually in a coma is another story. But sometimes accidents happen, right? You know, we can't just say you're abusing EMS because the local pulled you out of the car. Or something happened and you wrecked your car because you had a frame skip and you jumped into a building because you were driving really fast. Obviously, sometimes those are mistakes that are going to happen, or you spawn dead in a coma out in the ocean. That's going to happen. But as far as like if you're just routinely jumping off, doing base jumping with a parachute, and you keep forgetting to deploy your chute, that someone might talk to you about that. There's a question about looting characters that are unconscious. I have a question, an idea, but why? Um,
I
Well,
what is the
fully
goal with
agree
it?
with that. If you knock somebody out to mug them and then steal their shit, that's fantastic. I could see.
yeah. And actually, that's part of where I'm headed with the lockpicks as well. Excuse me. The
I'm just afraid it's gonna get
functions.
abused.
It will be.
So just loot them while they're conscious and whatnot, because then just people are gonna like for me, it's like, oh, I'll just knock you out. It's easier to get this whatever from you if you're not talking.
Right.
If you're not
It'll
talking,
also it's going to make people deposit their money as well. Like a lot of people probably carry their money on them. I'm making a habit of putting my money in the bank as much as possible. So might be a good way to get people to do that.
People, I would agree if
As an officer, I've been RDM'd.
well, yeah, this is people
So I'm
are
waiting
like
for that
talking
to
about the
happen.
line.
Like I already,
Well, if you're in a storyline where somebody runs up on you and you're at an ATM pulling money out, we all cut Z off, by the way. When you're
Sorry.
pulling money out, and somebody puts a gun to the back of your head and says, "Give me your shit, or I'm gonna kill you." Well, they have the money on them, and you don't do that. You try to run, something like that. If he shoots you in the back of the head and robs you, that's fine by me. There's gonna be force. There's gonna be some force. You can't avoid that with your RP. If that makes you uncomfortable,
Yep.
you're in
Plus,
GTA.
once we go application and there's not random people coming in, this will be less of an issue because they are putting at stake their ability to play this game ever again. I do want all the risk that the real world provides us, where any of us can be outside and get robbed at any time and take all of our stuff. But also, you got to realize that we're going to be playing with the people in our community. You know, we're not just going to be playing GTA Online. We're playing a game that allows us to be characters and we know each other. You're going to know people. The longer you play, you're going to run into the same people. And, but I want that element of, okay, this person might be carrying a pound of weed on them, and there's a chance that they can lose that. Uh, it gives the ability to add in the element of being robbed on the street. It adds in the caution of when you're going to move expensive items, when you have a lot of guns on you. Also, someone can steal your car, get into your trunk, take your stuff. It really makes you start thinking about where am I going to put this, how I'm going to move it, the best way to get there. Do I need to bring someone with me? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And as far as chat, you guys got to stop comparing our server to things like No Pixel. It doesn't equate very well.
Yeah,
These
no
big servers.
pixel, you're dealing with veterans. They also have a dev team with like 5, 6 people who have been doing this a long time. Um, here you're dealing with me and Crappy pretty much coding everything. A lot of it is brand new to us. Um, you know, we're doing the best we can, and we're trying to emulate other servers, get the good ideas that they have, try to work out how best to do it for our group of people, because our group of people is going to be different than their group of people. Most of those people came from like Arma 3 role play, so they've been doing this for years and years. Um, for them, it was just like putting on a new pair of shoes. For us, it's more like learning how to walk.
Yeah, they've all been, it's something to look up to RP quality wise, but the way things are run, not so much. Those guys have all been RPing with that very tight knit group for years and years. They know each other personally. They're friends, that kind of thing. Like she said with the whitelist, we'll all start building a little bit more of a more personal connection, and you'll start seeing a lot more of the same faces rather than newbies every day that you don't know. And you'll get to learn how to RP with people just by default.
Can I just say
Uh,
one thing about role playing, guys? I just want to be clear with everybody with this. When you're role playing, don't destroy friendships over it. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. When you role play, it's your character role playing with that character. It's not you personally role playing with that person. It's a character. Keep it fun, guys. Keep it fun because that's what it's all about. At the end, we all step away from our role playing. We become our own person again, and just leave it as role play in the city.
Yeah,
Yeah, stop
learn
the
how to eat some
RP
loss from
bleed,
time to
right?
time
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's gonna happen. Shit's gonna go wrong, and it's gonna hurt. It'll piss you off maybe, but you got to get the fuck over it.
yeah. Plus, think of it in the future. When you get shot, you're not just gonna fall over and die. Now, if you get shot by like a shotgun in the face, you will, but weapons will make you bleed. They will hurt your, limbs, your arms, your legs. You're just not going to get shot 2 or 3 times and just fall over. You're wearing body armor. Maybe you took a shot in the arm. You're going to bleed. You're going to have a chance to bandage. You're going to have a chance to, get away from a situation like that. Um, it's not going to be like it is now where you're getting shot and then you're just done. You're going to have pain. You're going to have a struggle. You're going to have, possibly a downtime. Your friends can intervene and pull you away, things like that.
I mean, you could RP the robbery now.
Yeah, I mean, literally, this game, really, we could have taken it vanilla out of the box, no special mods or anything, and you could pretty much RP almost everything right then. I mean, all the other stuff is just making it more immersive. I mean, really, it could be just a empty blank room, and we could all just play a part. Just like watching a play in real life. They don't have the whole world to mess with. They just have a stage, and it's still compelling. But I want to add these elements to make it more fun.
We got 2 more.
Uh, what steps can be taken to ensure special events and stories aren't trampled over, and so people don't? Everything just moved, and so people don't feel left out in major events and storylines. Baltic/Cariz is listed on this one. You guys want to take it?
Before we continue that, Kyber Gamer actually wanted to circle back to the
Yeah.
former question.
Yeah,
For
go
the
for it.
perma question.
Okay, so basically, this is just to help EMS out. As everybody knows, we currently or we recently enacted a ragdoll feature, and it's from my understanding that EMS has been having problems with some people using the ragdoll feature to quote unquote fake EMS services. I just wanted to kind of get something out there from either Azili or Hart on how you guys wanted to go around that.
With the ragdoll, I'll be honest with you, if you jump on that bed and do ragdoll, you're gonna fall through the floor and you're gonna be in Matrix. We have actually put into at Pillbox, please do not use that ragdoll. We don't want you falling into the Matrix and then basically stopping your role play and us having to bring you back out. So we just made a rule, no ragdolling. Yes, it's all fun and games. The first day that we got it, it was crazy. But you can use it for role play, but just don't use it inside a pillbox for your own safety. For your own safety. But yeah, use it outside and but yeah, just don't abuse it. Do not abuse it. Especially don't ragdoll and say, "Oh, I'm down." Or if you're not dead, don't. Yeah, if you're not in a coma, don't purposely use it and try and get it on a bed because you will go into the matrix, unfortunately.
If you're if you have a character, maybe they faint for some reason, and they're like you ragdoll outside of pillbox, and then when you're in pillbox, you're like, oh, but it makes sense if I faint again. You could use the old school ragdoll of going prone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
It
right,
is
and
a
then you
lot of
said
fun.
what?
Go for it, Baltic.
Well, oh, sorry.
Unless there's more.
I was just gonna say, as far as damage is concerned, like Z mentioned earlier, I believe I know what she's talking about. There's things like if you get shot in the leg or hit in the leg, it'll give you a chance of tripping. So you won't have to just manage the ragdoll constantly. It'll do stuff.
And you asked about the question about special events being trampled over in stories, so people don't feel left out or major events and storylines. I'm guessing this is both for citywide events like the 4th of July and possibly the one that was made for what's going on now. I'm trying to get the actual understanding.
I don't know.
This I can almost tell you this is referencing a mod report that's with our current big giant storyline that's not in yet that I'm not going to spoil, and we had a couple people inserting themselves into it and muddying it up, and yeah,
Current
almost
current
ruined
big
it.
storyline is so we have a whole like events team for that for stories like that because it was talked about on the podcast with Young Bulls. Um, Instead of just going, hey, look, go to this thing on the map. We are making a thing that we can like naturally like have it included into the city. And honestly, any character that's in there is probably either dead or will not make use of whatever that is. So whatever knowledge the player may have, it's not going to be used. So everyone can have be all equal with it. We do let police and EMS know if there's going to be something. We like for our first one, this big one, we learned a lot about what could happen, what we didn't account for, like people being very excited about what could happen, and then kind of jumping the gun. So we're just gonna do more of a heads up, kind of just work with what we got. For events, like I don't know, just we'll let people like we'll just update everyone on it and hope like I don't know, just don't feel left out. People, characters that are used are not going to be. They're just temporary. Like you guys probably heard of good old Bryce, very loud rednecky dude. Whole thing was to know all about what was happening. Currently dead because just part of the story. Like a lot of people, like we're trying to make it even.
Yeah, it's just like when Z does server notification updates. She doesn't just say, "Oh, there's a new car in town." She'll put a little bit of story in there. Oh, we got a new import at the shop, and and you know there's a new car. Same thing with introducing it to the server. You don't just want to go, boom, here's a thing. There's a little bit of a story, nothing that's gonna make people scream everything's scripted, but it's an ease into here it is now.
And also with those events, for instance, in real life, if you knew a place was locked down, you wouldn't actually go to that place and try and get in that lockdown building. Don't insert yourself into something that you're unsure of. In real life, you would run. You would not go near that place. Use that knowledge and role play it that way. Your life is still valuable, and of course, if it's locked down, you can't go near the place. Can't go near and insert yourself into that storyline.
To kind of attach to some of this, I mean, yeah, you could have TeamSpeak open and see people who are near you, which would help you in some regards. But I would also tell you probably minimize it so you don't see people near you and you can actually act natural around them. As far as like a pop-in question back to the mugging and whatnot, there's forensics coming. If it's a really bad rampant, we have a system on the server called Overwatch. You know what Overwatch does? It tells us who did what. So, take that into account.
Yeah, I've seen some talk of somebody's just going to steal a car, run somebody over, steal their shit, and then bounce. There's no RP involved in that. That's like power gaming. Somebody's going to know if you're robbing them. If they don't, you're just randomly killing somebody and taking.
Right. Now everybody's playing Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to freak out anyway. As soon as we get it, people are going to do it like crazy. But then eventually they're going to go, that's annoying to repeatedly do constantly, and it'll die down. It's a new toy. They'll play with it too much for the first week.
Yeah.
Yep. Literally carry tacos. That way they just rob you for tacos.
Perfect.
Yes.
For the story, for the like main like store like server story events for new mechanics, those are kind of more contained as to like how we handle things. For like the city events and whatnot, that's all RP related. That's all RP related. So you make sure the RP it makes sense. Like the 4th of July event took about a week to plan all that out, I think. And you could have like if someone wanted to go in there, they didn't have to feel left out. They could have RP with certain people, see if they could have been a help, could have added things to it and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it won't be the last time we have an event like that. So there's certain people you can talk to in the city.
Yeah, we pretty much shut down the city just for the hour it took for that whole event to be there, so that everybody could be there and take part in it. So that's something like with enough planning, you guys can make sure that the banks are not robbable or whatever else it is that you guys do to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that
Mhm.
nobody wants to miss.
Plus, speaking on the robbery, that if somebody robs you and it pisses you off, well, you know, there ain't nothing stopping you from RP and you bringing them into the woods and snuffing them out. And you don't have to deal with them for the next 3 or 4 days because they're in a coma or something.
Evil.
You can do.
Be the best murderous.
Yeah.
can
You
be.
steal my 30 tacos, bitch, I'm gonna take your big toe.
And then the detectives will have a crime to investigate.
No more paperwork. Ah.
The left
Hey,
toe.
I don't
killer.
have to do the paperwork. You got to do the paperwork.
Oh, paperwork. Speaking of which, I have paperwork to do.
Will we be having a town mall meeting bi-weekly going forward? Monthly. We'll have a meeting. We'll have a town hall monthly. As long as we can sustain it. If there's not, like, if we're able to get things, point across, maybe it might be quarterly. But this is a lot of, like, I think this time worked. I've seen people come in and dip out as they had to go do things. This has been what we're at 2 hours and 11 minutes that everybody has gathered and taken out of their day to discuss and have conversation with each other on the server. And there's a great live turnout for this. I know that there's a lot of people that are working that can't commit to being here today. Whether or not they do it, they're able to do it in the future is, only time will tell. As far as a monthly thing, I wouldn't peg it on a week because I could tell you that PAX is coming up. I'm busy. If we look forward into the month of August, I'm actually busy the weekend that would be comparable for this weekend in August. It might even have to be sometime after PAX in September. Just because, and that's going to be busy because there's TwitchCon.
TwitchCon.
There's PAX. There's some
Twitch Toronto. There we go.
right.
August
Twitch
is
Toronto is
guys.
happening in August. So a lot of us are quite busy. Some of us have a little bit more free time.
Not
This
only
is
that,
my pet project, but even I have other commitments to do, right?
yeah, not only that, this one is particularly long because we've never done it before, and we
Right.
pretty much had to hit on everything. In the future, it'll be what's changed recently since the last one, and there you go. This also let you guys into how we operate and attitudes and things like.
Yeah, we'll have that, also in the future. But I mean, this one is probably 2.5 hours because it's the first one. I do want feedback. If you guys enjoyed the format, like, hop in Discord, have a chat. I know a lot of you are muted. That's because this would be utter chaos. So if it was good, then awesome. If not, we'll figure out something else. I'm appreciative of
leave
those
them
that
muted.
streamed it because it might enable other people to see about the community. I don't know if you guys have any closing things you guys want to say.
Yeah, don't be dicks. And I love you.
Look at all those illegal gunshots.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good one.
Is that just today? Log in quickly now before the server is full.
Everybody's gonna jump on.
Hey,
Thank
might
you
as
for
well.
coming.
So wait, are we
Yeah.
done?
Okay.
Easy.
I
Does
mean, if you
anyone
guys have
any questions?
yeah, I mean, we could open up to the floor, but while you guys prepare your any closing, any desire or need for additional admins. Actually, I would like to have a couple more. As far as like working with the community, programmers, Zeba, Crappy, do you think we've got? Do you guys want to answer that?
All right. This is a question people ask me. If you are good at Lua, you know you can install VRP, the server, all that stuff for free. If you can do all that, write me a compelling mod, something that you would like to see in the game, and then send it to me. Consider that your application. I don't want to help you. I don't want to tell you how to set it up. I don't want to tell you how to configure it because, for one, it's a big pain in the ass. Graphics, I'm not a graphics person. If you want to do things like make billboards and all that, I can give you some specs. If, yeah, billboards are fine. We have some stuff that's out there right now. For our podcast and radio and all that.
And the rabbit boob.
Oh, I took that off the
Good old
building.
rabbit
That's
boob.
gone. Even
Rabbit
though it
boob's
wasn't
gone.
a boob, it was a finger. But yes.
It was not a boob. You shut up.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, wait, is that a boob?
I wanted to answer our RBG plays. The one the player that does Geo about repair. Like I think it's for repair jobs to have their own deployables for realistic things. We had talked about that for the event. The event got manager for when there's events, put tables and chairs and whatnot down, and how found out if we put a chair down, sure, in your eyes that thing you put down is there, but maybe in someone else's eyes it's a raging tornado of death and destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So deployables for everybody? Probably not. They cause a lot of issues and they're very easy to fuck up. So
Yeah.
I will love tornado.
We
Yeah.
learned that. We've already learned that once at Pillbox. And some
Yep.
people got really upset that I yelled at people to get out of the area while we tried to solve it, and we couldn't solve it. But
list
it
of people
hampered
that got
Pillbox.
really upset. The Zealand. Check.
Well, yeah. Anyway, Silver Court, Jodaman, if you want to do it, go for it. Write it up, send it to me. Atoli is doing some tutorials. Get with Atoli. Those tutorials are on how to roleplay and whatnot, especially if you have countering opinions or thoughts. That would be awesome to see, and I would so promote the crap out of that video wherever I can. Anybody else see something that stands out?
There is one from LTG Shane Quentin about stances when you're drunk or hurt.
I think those are
I guess
coming. Yes.
that's gonna be a thing.
Those are coming. Those are coming.
Stances and being able to switch. That'll come.
Yeah, stances, walks. People ask for request some of the custom models, the ones that are definable by the game. They will be available in limited supply because I don't want 20 clones of the same person walking around. So they're going to be kind of a first come first serve. They also have restrictions, so you got to be aware of that as well.
As far
I'm
as
guessing-
graphics are concerned, you can always check with me. How is checking VRP session fixed again? If it doesn't say, is that different from the other error?
I just close it and turn it back on again.
Yeah, close it, give it 5 minutes, and open it back up. Yeah, if you ever
Are the
get
batteries
a
in right?
whitelist error, If you ever get the whitelist error, that's not really the error. The error is basically you're connected, but you're not being reconnected because the server thinks you're connected and you haven't properly timed out. Although I'm curious if the timeout thing will help that.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if the AFK kick thing won't.
I had that last night. I was checking whitelist, although it showed I was in queue, but I quit it and gave it 5 minutes, popped it back open, and then I was 7th in line, and I just said, okay, night off. And it's okay.
I'm
It was
gonna
20.
I'm gonna give you all a insider tip. If ever there is a queue and you're having issues, you need to like restart your game and you don't want to be in a queue, you can hit F8, type crash. It will literally crash your client on purpose. You can reconnect and get back in without sitting through the queue again.
And if you abuse this, we'll know.
Yeah. I mean, don't be a dick about it. If you're going to be gone for a long time, please let someone else use the slot. But if you are having issues like maybe your map doesn't work, your menu's broken, or you can't do something, you can just hit F8, which brings down a little console, type crash. It'll literally crash the game. And
You
then
want
you
the
can
client to send
Yeah,
the
you
crash signal,
yeah.
not do task manager, because that's when you're going to get the whitelist checking error. Even though it's not the whitelist checking error, it's a different error, and that's where you get stuck, where you just can't log in anyway.
Yeah.
Other things that I'm seeing kind of picked through priority queue, we're actually talking about that right now. There will be requirements for EMS and police officers going forward that they have to have X amount of time per week to maintain that spot, because we're basically telling people when we do a priority queue, we're basically telling people that aren't in those roles that you have to wait longer, and it's only just it's an issue that I don't want. I have a very hard time telling somebody that you can't play because someone else plays a different role than you. And it doesn't quite sit well with me, but I also knew that we're probably going to have to do it
Yeah.
from the start. I knew that this was probably going to have to be a thing.
It might also have to be by player rather than role, because I can see somebody going, I'm going to make up a PD character just so I can have the priority. And
They'll
Well,
get
that's-
log in.
removed.
That's what we're having right now with EMS. We have a lot of EMS that say they're playing, but none of them are playing. We only have a handful that
Yeah.
are playing. So those ones that do not play your EMS character, they will be getting removed.
But yeah, I mean, because the priority list is based on the account.
There's already a job application form in. If you look in the character chat, we already have one at We're EMS. If you want to help guys, and it's an awesome time. We are a great team. We do have a lot of fun. And you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to have any medical knowledge. Just come join us. Have fun. It's great role playing.
Have fun, everybody.
Exactly.
Hold our hands. Let's all be happy together.
Exactly.
Strap in, buckle up. We're on the ride. Let's go.
We do get busy. We do get busy, but that's okay. Don't let that stop you. Lean on me. Yeah, we'll all sing it. Ready?
Right. No. Someone should organize the karaoke event. We had the dance contest.
We had a
Yeah.
dance contest.
Yeah, there's all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff, right?
Yep. There's I guess I'll say we're gonna have a stun gun tournament soon.
I know the police. I know Cariz and some others are organizing a event for the police.
Yep, that'll
Yep.
be this
We
Wednesday.
went around. Yeah, we went around looking for locations.
It'll be
I
when?
still
Yeah,
want to
that's gonna be
have
fun.
a crazy golf cart race.
Did you
Love it.
see 2 or 3 nights ago? You were on here with me. I was drunk. We all had golf carts.
Ford,
Yeah,
you're
but
saying-
this is going to be like 90-mile-an-hour golf carts.
Oh, yes.
But Ford, you're saying about the radio? Don't let the radio stop you from being an EMS or police guys. The radio is actually, we got a dispatch system now. You don't It's only a couple of commands you need to know. That's it.
Oh,
That's it.
10 codes. Those are easy to learn. Plus, you'll have a
Yeah.
cheat sheet. No,
You have the cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Stun gun, paintball. Can we use the rifles?
No, it's stun guns. We're gonna have rules for lives in it,
Oh,
and
this is
it's a very
civilian stun gun.
specific. This is
Okay.
for this is civilian stun gun, and it's gonna be hopefully it'll be fun.
We don't want to give away secrets.
nope. Can we be
Sorry.
done? It's 3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta stand up.
Everybody stand up. If you're not in the server, have fun. Get with a couple of people. Atoli there is looking for some stuff with tutorials. I know other people are making stuff. Porthos is making awesome news articles. This is all good stuff. Thank you for playing. Thank you for being awesome. And may your roleplay be badass.
For Porthos as well, he's included all of his stuff on the wiki. So if you want to see past episodes of the news reports, they will be on there as well.
So, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for playing.
Bye. Have a good time.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Have fun.
Later.